guys, you're welcome back to my channel. This is Sim and Stitches again. Alright, so on today's tutorial we are going to be learning how to make a cargo skirt. Yes, we are making a cargo skirt today. I'll be using a corduroy material, corduroy fabric for this cargo skirt. You can go ahead and use whatever fabric you want, but just ensure that the fabric is firm and strong. You can use a jean fabric or a chinos fabric. All right, so the first thing I did was to fold my fabric using my hip measurement divided by 4. So this is going to be my front panel, and at the front it's going to be having a slit, and the zipper area is also at the front. So I added the 2 inches for my zipper and the slit. All right, so at the top I marked ½ inch, which is going to be my allowance for joining the band to the skirt. And then from the ½ inch I started marking my waist measurement, 1 inch, my waist measurement. And then I marked my navel measurement, then I marked my hip measurement, then I marked my knee length measurement. After the knee length measurement, I added about 1.5 inches, which is going to be my hemming allowance. So this is what I went on to do. Then you can see how I'm marking. I marked my 2 inches, which is going to be the zipper allowance, and also the slit. The slit is going to be having an overlap at the front, so that is why I have it in form of a 2 inch, about 2 inches or 2.5 inches. So yours can just, you can just design yours as you want. All right, so the next one, I marked out my round waist measurement divided by 4. I marked my round hip measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch allowance, just 1 inch allowance. And then I used my curved ruler to shapen out the hip line, and I left it straight like that. It's not going to be pencil, it's just going to be a straight skirt. Yes, that is what I want. It's going to be a straight skirt. Now this skirt, cargo skirt, is on my length, a knee length. For this one, sometimes it could be a micro or a mini cargo skirt. Most of the times it is a mini micro, a mini cargo skirt. So if it is going to be a mini cargo skirt, you can just make it to be like about 8 inches or 7 inches above your knee length, All right, so after that I went on to cut out the front panel. I'm going to be using this front panel to cut out my back panel. Now, instead of me to draft a new panel for the back, I just folded in my zipper allowance, since there won't be zipper at the back. So I folded it in and I placed it on already folded fabric. So I folded the hip measurement fabric on the table, then I placed the back panel on the front panel, and there I have both the front and the back. The front is the one that has the zipper allowance, while the back is just plain like that. You can see that those are the 2 pieces that I'm going to be working on for this project. All right, so the next thing I went on to do was to cut out the waist. You can see, so I already marked it out on the front panel, then I cut out the waist to shapen the waist for the front and the back together. So you to go ahead and do that. So the next thing I did was to open up the slit for the front. Remember I said the zipper is going to be at the front part. So I opened up the zip allowance slit such that it's going to be divided into 2 parts. So it is this space that I'm going to be using as my overlap slit, and also for the zipper. Now the next thing I want to do now is to cut the pocket. So one of the essential parts of a cargo skirt is the pocket. The pocket is being sewn in the cargo style. So there are 2 ways to attach your cargo skirt. I'm going to be doing one of the 2 ways. So I measured my pocket to be 11 inches long and 5 inches wide. 11 inches long and 5 inches wide. Now this is placed on fold. So I folded the fabric before taking this measurement that I just mentioned. So the length is going to be 11 inches while the width is going to be 5 inches. Now at the midpoint, I marked out my 1 inch and I stitched it all the way from the top to the bottom. So after stitching, I brought to the ironing board, and look at the way I flattened that side out. So you flatten it out 1 inch, just 1 inch. You mark from the center point, you mark 1 inch, and then you're going to stitch that 1 inch. Run it on the right side, such that you have it as an extra folding, extra pleat. So that was what I did right there. Now you go ahead and secure the seam line with your pin. Look at the way I flattened it out, and at the top and at the bottom part I secured it with a pin. You can also use your iron. We are doing this because we are going to be running a straight stitch on that side in order for it not to flap open while you are sewing. Look at what I did. You are going to stitch it all the way through. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch it all the way down such that it is well laid and flattened on your pocket. You already did a design on the pocket like that, so it's going to be secured while you stitch it. You can see what I just did there. You also go ahead and do it. So I did it for the two sides because I'm going to be having two pockets, one at the right side and the other at left side. One at the right side and the other at the left side. So go ahead and take it to your sewing machine and do likewise. Okay, so at this point you continue with your sewing of this project. This is your cargo skirt. Now we're going to be attaching the zipper for the front part of the skirt. You know, I told you the zip will be at the front. So the first thing you do is to run a straight stitch using your gathered stitch. You are going to be using your gathered stitch setting on your sewing machine to that part where you have marked. So I measured the zipper and I saw where it stopped. I marked it and I ran a gathered stitch because I'm still going to flip that open. So I need a stitch that is not really well secured. Now you place your zipper at the middle. At the middle, you open the stitch that you just made and you place your zipper at the middle, one at the right side and the other at the left side. And then you run a straight stitch. Don't forget to change the setting of your sewing machine away from the gather stitch to your normal stitch now, because we are now making the zipper line. So you're going to be attaching it and stop where you marked. That point where you marked, remember the place where we marked while we were doing the flap, you stop there. Now look at the way I folded this part carefully. You fold this part in such a way that it is securing the edges of your zip. It is securing the edges of your zip so that nobody will see the other part of your zip, and at the same time it's going to be giving a little bit of 0.7 inches allowance, which is going to be overlapping by the time you turn it to the right side. But we are going to be covering the flap of the zipper to make it look like the trousers. So that is what we did here. So I went on to stitch it. You see the way I flipped it such that it's at the tip of the other side, is at the tip of the other zipper line. So I went on and stopped right there, right at that point where I wanted the zipper line to end. Don't forget that we marked it while we were running our straight stitch. Now you turn it to the right side and using your seam ripper, you opened up the seam line that you made. The seam line that we made with our gathered stitch, you flip it open now. So you can see that was where I marked. You can see that. So you're going to be flipping. That's where we're going to be opening it up to. Yes, see what I did here. Just open it. It's going to be easy if you used the gathered stitch. If you used the gathered stitch, your stitches are going to come out right away. So, and it's not going to leave an imprint or a mark that has been stitched earlier on. So that is the trick I use in making this. It's like a simple hack for me when I'm making the flap for a skirt or for either a trouser. Now, the next thing you want to do now is to secure that part such that it won't be opening anyhow while you're working, while you're wearing your skirt. So I marked it out using my chalk. I marked it out on the surface. Don't forget we are on the right side. See, I want to make that curve in order to secure that part. So you mark it out on your fabric and you go ahead and stitch it in. Okay, so the next thing I went on to do is to cut out the side pocket, the pocket at the side. So I marked my, from the waistline, I marked 3 inches inward and I marked 7 inches downward, which is going to be 3 by 7 inches. So this was what I marked to help me to get the curved line. So I connected the 3 inches with a 7 inches length and I cut it out like that. So that is already creating a shape and a hollow for my pocket. So the pocket is going to be by the sides. That is why you have it in that way. Now I folded this fabric into two while cutting this, such that I cut for the right side and for the left side. Now I placed my already cut pocket size of about 10 inches long and about 5 inches wide. So I placed it all together, two of them to cut for the right and the left side, and I also placed the same length, the same amount of fabric that I cut for the pocket. I placed another double on each other to hold as the second part of the pocket. You know, the pocket is going to be having a hole and it's going to be covered. Now the first one where I cut is going to be the front part where everybody will see, whereas the other part is going to be the inside part of the pocket. Do you understand what I'm doing now? You can see the way I placed it. So I'm just going to stitch that part where I cut together from the right side facing each other, and then I will flip it over. So when I flip it over, it's going to give me that hollow. So that's what I'm just going to do now. I took it to my sewing machine, marked my ½ inch, and I went on to stitch it like that. So I joined the two sides together to create a rough seam, and then I flipped it open and top stitched it at the front side. But I made sure that my top stitch is on the pocket area, not on the main fabric, not on the front of the skirt, but inside of the pocket. You can see what I did. So you're going to stitch it, and I ran about 0.25 inches, quarter of an inch, or even lesser. You can make yours to be lesser. The essence is just to hold it in such that it doesn't flip while you're walking. Then the next thing I went on to do is to stitch out my other side of the pocket. Remember I told that there's another side to the pocket where I'm going to be showing you. So that's where the hollow is going to be. I'm already creating the pocket region now. So I marked my ½ inch and I stitched it all the way from the length to the breadth of the pocket. And with that, my pocket is well secured. Yes, you can take it to the overlocking machine and stitch it now. Now if you open this up, you see now you have your front pocket well laid and well stitched. Now you flip onto the other side of the pocket, the second side of the pocket, and do the same thing. Alright guys, so if you have watched it up to this moment, now is the time for you to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Kindly subscribe. Alright, so the next thing you want to do now is to attach the back side. Now we're going to be starting it from the side seam. Instead of the back being placed directly, we are going to be starting from the side seam because of our pocket. Don't forget our pocket. So right now I had already split open the back panel. The pieces that I'm going to be using for the back, I've split it open such that I have my center, which is going to be my closing point where I'm going to finish up the skirt. Now at the side, I had adjusted the waistline to fit into what I have for the back. Remember that I just added a new waistline to match with the pocket. I'm going to now I'm going to mark out the allowances. While I was stitching this, I added 1 inch allowance. Now I'm going to be marking it out and shaping out the waist and the hip area before going to my sewing machine to stitch it. This is very, very, very important. This is what I do most of the time when I'm finishing up my fabric. When I'm joining the front and the back piece together, I shape it out. So I'm going to be marking out the exact measurements of my clients for this skirt, and I'm going to be marking the area where there's going to be the allowance. So you to go ahead and do that at this point. So after you are done shaping, just take it to the sewing machine and follow the line that you drew while you were marking it out. So this makes your work even much more easier. Although with experience, you might not need to keep marking the lines, but I intentionally marked this line in order for people that are beginners to be able to understand how this is done. So I went on to do for both the right side and the left side. Don't forget that our middle point is still opened. There's a reason why that is still opened, because that is going to give you access to be able to add your pockets. We are going to be having the pockets by the sides, so without opening the back slit, there is no way for you to be able to do that. So this is what we are going to be doing now. All right, so you go on and attach this. Don't forget that you're following the line and you're going to stop at the hemming line. So that's going to just be the hemming line and the hemming points. Now you have your allowances there. Now the next thing you want to do now is take it to your sewing machine, to your ironing board, and iron it flat. That seam line, ironing flat. You can also go ahead and overlock it at this point. If you can just overlock now, but I didn't overlock yet. So I went on to the ironing board, iron my seam allowances open. I ironed it open and carefully placed my pocket at that hip area. If you notice, this part is the hip line, so I stopped where my hip started. That's the going to be the opening of my pocket at the point where the hip started. The hip line is going to be the opening of my pocket. Now look at how I carefully arranged it. The pocket is very, very essential. You carefully arrange it, make sure that it is falling in line. Make sure that the midpoint design that you have is also aligning with the seam line that you just flipped open and iron. It can actually take you quite a number of time, but just be careful with it. Nobody is rushing you. Take your time. That is the key to having a neat sewing. Take your time. There is no need to rush. Now after you are done and satisfied with the arrangement, take it to your sewing machine and top stitch all the edges. This is the first method of making a cargo pocket. You top stitch using a patched pocket style. You top stitch it on your fabric, directly on your fabric. So I cut this pocket cover. It's going to be a coverage for my pocket, and I also attached this design rope, looks like a long stripe, to be as the opening of my pocket. Now this is falling on the hip line exactly. Don't forget the way we arranged it. So this is what I did. Now one major thing about making this kind of design is because you're going to be having a lot of top stitching. Your stitches must be neat. Your stitches must be neat. I'm making this video to be on a faster note because it's a very long. I carefully took my time. So when you're making your own practical, please do not rush. Make sure that you carefully sew it so that by the time you are done stitching, it's going to come out nice and beautiful. So that was what I did. I attached the pocket cover. You can see it there. I can flip it open to show the opening of the pocket, and I also can also flip it back to cover up my pocket. And then I added that rope as a design. It's not functioning. It's a non-functional design, so you can just have it. Now I went on to the other side of my pocket as well, and I did likewise. So you can see it. I already skipped that part because it's going to take this video to be longer, and I don't want it to be longer. So just go ahead and do the same for your own too. It's going to come out nice, I promise, as long as you are careful while you're stitching, making sure that your lines are straight and they are neat. So this was what I did. Now I went on to join the back. Don't forget our back is still opened. So what I did was to join the back. And this is going to be very easy because you are not adding any zipper, no button, nothing. You are just supposed to run a straight stitch from the waistline to the hemline. You close it up. You don't need to open another slit at the back because there's a slit already in the front. So you close it up all the way using your allowance line. Alright, so guys, you are almost done with this sewing of your skirt. Now the next thing I went on to do is to attach the band. So I cut out my waistline band with 2 inches height. So 2 inches height, and my waistline was the length of the band. So I cut it out and then I placed it carefully on the waistline from the inside to the outside. Yes, I'm going to finish up the seam line at the outside, that is the right side of the skirt. So I started from the inside and then I stitched it using my hemming allowance. Remember when I was cutting, we had one half-inch allowance at the top, which is going to be the joining of the waist. That was what I used at this point. And then I trimmed off the excess lines and I flipped it open. You flip it open in order for you to secure it well. So I did that and I stitched it on at the right side. Yes, this is what I did. You stitch it at the right side like that, making sure that your hand is straight. Make sure that your hand is straight. Make sure that it is carefully done. Make sure that it is neat. This is what I tell my students. Emphasis on neatness. So that was what I did at this point. Now I went on to hem it at the base. So I hem it at the base using my hemming allowance of 2 inches that I already did while we were cutting. Remember, we added 2 inches as our hemming allowance. This is where we close it up and make sure that our stitches are neat and well arranged. One trick to doing this hemming line is for you to either use the hemming gum or you iron it out so that it will be firm and flat. By the time you are stitching, it will be firm and flat. And then at the slit side, because I wasn't using a lining and I wasn't going to hem it, so I stitched that part where my slit is opened for the front part. I secured the hemline for the stitch so that it won't be opened or exposed to the rough side of the skirt. And with that, I had practically finished sewing the skirt. It came out so nice. You know, everybody thought it was one of those Shane skirts, you know, that you see on Shane. But no, this is what you can also do. As long as you have the fabric and you have everything intact, you can always make all that you see, those ready-to-wear designs that you admire on models, you can also make them for yourself. Now look at our skirt. Come on, look at this baby girl. I just loved it. You see, that flap is what I was telling you. You open it and you close it. Then you can, at the top there, you can add an hook and eye, or you can just put a button to secure that line. And that is all about it, guys. That is all about it. I'm going to show you a picture on my mannequin. It came out so lovely. My client loved it, and you know, she requested for the cargo pants. That's what we're making next. If you want me to make a video of that, put it in the comment section now. And that will be all for this tutorial today. Thank you for staying by. Thank you for watching. Kindly like, comment, subscribe to my channel. It is totally free. All right, guys, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.